Have you ever wondered what the secret to a long and happy life is? Maybe it's not just about good genes or luck, but about the way we choose to live each day. Imagine sitting down with people who have seen nearly 8 decades of life unfolding before them. What stories would they tell? What advice would they give about making the most of our time on Earth? In this story, we will hear from some amazing people aged 70 to 80 and learn their secrets to living a long and happy life. We will explore what they eat, how they stay active, and what keeps them smiling even when life gets tough. Get ready to be inspired by their wisdom and maybe even discover a few secrets you can use to make your own life better. The story begins in a small, quiet town nestled among rolling green hills. This town was known for its friendly people and its peaceful way of life, but most of all, it was known for the number of its residents who lived well into their 80s and 90s. One day, a young woman named Sarah came to this town. She was a writer, and she wanted to learn the secret to longevity, so she decided to interview some of the oldest residents to find out what their secret was. Sarah started with Mr. Peterson. He was a 75-year-old man who still tended his garden every day. His hands were strong and his eyes twinkled with life. She found him pulling weeds one sunny morning and introduced herself. Mr. Peterson smiled and offered her a glass of cool lemonade. "So, Mr. Peterson," Sarah began, "I'm trying to learn what it takes to live a long and happy life, and I heard you might have some wisdom to share." Mr. Peterson chuckled. "Well, I don't know about secrets, but I can tell you what's worked for me. I've always believed in staying active and eating good food, but most importantly, I've always tried to keep a positive attitude." He explained that every morning he would wake up early and spend time in his garden. He loved feeling the sun on his skin and the earth in his hands. He grew his own vegetables and fruits, and he believed that eating fresh, healthy food was essential for a long life. He also walked every day and made sure to get enough sleep. He said that sleep was just as important as eating right and being active. "But it's not just about the body," Mr. Peterson added. "It's about the mind too. I try to stay curious and keep learning new things. I read books, I talk to people, and I never stop asking questions." Sarah nodded thoughtfully. She realized that Mr. Peterson's secret wasn't just one thing, but combination of many things. It was about taking care of his body, his mind, and his spirit. Next, Sarah visited Mrs. Rodriguez. She was an 80-year-old woman who loved to bake and knit. She had a warm smile and a gentle voice, and her house always smelled like cinnamon and freshly baked bread. Sarah found her sitting in her rocking chair knitting a colorful scarf. "Mrs. Rodriguez," Sarah said, "I'm so glad I could talk to you. I've heard you have a wonderful outlook on life." Mrs. Rodriguez smiled. "Well, dear, I've learned that life is full of ups and downs, but it's important to focus on the good things. I try to find joy in the simple things like a beautiful sunset, a good book, or a visit from a friend." She explained that she loved to bake because it brought her joy, and it allowed her to share her love with others. She baked cookies and cakes for her neighbors and friends, and she always made sure to have a treat ready for anyone who stopped by. She also loved to knit because it kept her hands busy and her mind relaxed. She knitted scarves, hats, and blankets for her family and friends, and she found it to be very calming. "But it's not always easy," Mrs. Rodriguez admitted. "There are times when I feel lonely or sad, but I try to remember that these feelings are temporary and that things will get better. I have learned that staying connected with family and friends is very important in your older years." Sarah was touched by Mrs. Rodriguez's wisdom. She realized that it was important to appreciate the small moments in life and to stay connected with others. After that, Sarah visited Mr. Johnson. He was a 78-year-old man who loved to fish and tell stories. He had a booming laugh and a twinkle in his eye. Sarah found him sitting by the lake fishing. "Mr. Johnson," Sarah said, "I'm trying to understand what it takes to live a long and fulfilling life, and I was hoping you could share some of your experiences." Mr. Johnson chuckled. "Well, young lady, I've learned that life is an adventure, and it's important to embrace it. I've always loved being outdoors and exploring new things. I've traveled to many different places, and I've met many interesting people." He explained that he loved to fish because it allowed him to connect with nature, and to relax he would spend hours sitting by the lake watching the water and listening to the birds. He also loved to tell stories because it allowed him to share his experiences and to connect with others. "But it's not just about having fun," Mr. Johnson added. "It's about giving." Back to the community, I volunteer at the local school, and I help out at the food bank. I believe that it's important to make a difference in the lives of others. Sarah was impressed by Mr. Johnson's generosity. She realized that giving back to the community was a great way to find purpose and meaning in life. Finally, Sarah visited Mrs. Davis. She was a 79-year-old woman who loved to paint and write poetry. She had a kind heart and a gentle spirit. Sarah found her sitting in her studio, painting a beautiful landscape. Mrs. Davis, Sarah said, "Your artwork is amazing. I'm curious to know what inspires you." Mrs. Davis smiled. "Well, dear, I believe that beauty can be found everywhere in nature, in people, and art. I try to capture that beauty in my paintings and my poems." She explained that she loved to paint because it allowed her to express her emotions and to connect with her inner self. She would spend hours painting landscapes, portraits, and still lifes. She also loved to write poetry because it allowed her to explore her thoughts and feelings. But it's not just about creating art. Mrs. Davis added, "It's about finding meaning and purpose in life. I believe that everyone has a unique gift to share with the world, and it's important to find that gift and to use it to make a difference." Sarah was deeply moved by Mrs. Davis's words. She realized that finding meaning and purpose in life was essential for a long and fulfilling life. After spending several weeks in the town, Sarah had learned a lot about the secret to longevity. She had interviewed many of the oldest residents, and she had discovered that there was no single secret, but rather a combination of factors. First, it was important to take care of your body by staying active, eating healthy, and getting enough sleep. Second, it was important to take care of your mind by staying curious, learning new things, and maintaining a positive attitude. Third, it was important to stay connected with others by spending time with family and friends and giving back to the community. And finally, it was important to find meaning and purpose in life by pursuing your passions and using your gifts to make a difference in the world. Sarah returned home and started writing her book. She shared the stories of the people she had met and the wisdom she had learned. She hoped that her book would inspire others to live longer, healthier, and happier lives. As Sarah reflected on her journey, she realized that the secret to longevity wasn't just about living a long time, but about living a full and meaningful life. It was about embracing each day with joy, gratitude, and purpose. It was about making the most of every moment and leaving the world a better place than you found it. And it was about remembering that age is just a number and that you can live a vibrant and fulfilling life at any stage. One day, Sarah received a letter from Mr. Peterson. He wrote that he had read her book and that he was very proud of her. He said that her book had captured the essence of what it meant to live a long and happy life. He also said that he was grateful for the opportunity to share his story and that he hoped it would inspire others. Sarah smiled. As she read the letter, she knew that her journey had been worth it. She had not only learned the secret to longevity, but she had also made a difference in the lives of others. And so the story ends with Sarah continuing to spread the wisdom she had gained, and with the residents of the small town continuing to live their long, happy, and fulfilling lives. Their stories served as a reminder that the secret to longevity is not just about adding years to your life, but about adding life to your years. The wisdom Sarah had gathered from these wise elders pointed to a few key areas. First, the importance of physical activity wasn't just about exercise, it was about movement integrated into daily life. Mrs. Rodriguez baking bread and stirring the dough was as important as Mr. Peterson tending his garden. These activities weren't just chores but joyful expressions of life and ways to stay connected to the world. The second key area was diet, but not in a restrictive way. It was about nourishing the body with whole foods fresh from the garden or prepared with love in the kitchen. It was about the connection to the earth and to tradition, not about the latest diet fad. Third, social connection was seen as vital. The people in the town were always helping each other, sharing meals and stories. They understood that human beings are social creatures and that isolation can be detrimental to health. Fourth, a positive outlook was essential. This didn't mean ignoring the hardships of life, but rather choosing to focus on the good, to find joy in the small things, and to maintain a sense of humor. Fifth, finding meaning and purpose was considered crucial. This could be through hobbies, volunteering, or simply helping others. Each person had something unique to offer, and finding a way to share that gift with the world was seen as a key to longevity. Sarah's book became a bestseller. It wasn't just a list of tips, but a collection of stories that resonated with readers. Her words inspired people to make changes in their own lives, to move more, to eat better, to connect with others, and to find their own purpose. The town that Sarah had visited became a popular destination for people seeking to learn more about the secrets of longevity. Visitors would come to walk in Mr. Peterson's garden, to taste Mrs. Rodriguez's bread, to listen to Mr. Johnson's stories, and to admire Mrs. Davis's paintings. The town became a living example of how to live a long and fulfilling life, a place where people of all ages could come together to share their wisdom and their experiences. Sarah continued to write and to speak about the secrets of longevity. She traveled the world sharing her message and inspiring people to live their best lives. She never forgot the people she had met in the small town, and she always carried their wisdom with her. The story of the small town and its wise elders became a legend, a reminder that the secret longevity is not about finding a magic potion, but about embracing a way of life that is rooted in simplicity, connection, and purpose. Old Wisdom smiled a warm, gentle smile that crinkled the corners of his eyes, and he settled back in his rocking chair, his gaze drifting towards the setting sun, which painted the sky in hues of orange, pink, and gold. He continued, his voice a soothing melody that seemed to carry the weight of years lived and lessons learned. Longevity isn't about chasing after some elusive fountain of youth, but about living a life that nourishes your body, your mind, and your soul. It's about finding joy in the simple things, cultivating meaningful relationships, and discovering your purpose in this world. He paused, taking a sip of his herbal tea, and continued. One of the most important secrets to a long and happy life is embracing simplicity in a world that is constantly bombarding us with noise and distractions. It's easy to get caught up in the pursuit of more things, more experiences, more achievements, but true happiness lies not in accumulating possessions, but in appreciating what you already have. Old Wisdom then said, simplify your life, declutter your home and mind, and focus on the things that truly matter. Spend time in nature, connect with loved ones, and practice gratitude for the small blessings that surround you daily. Find what you are truly passionate about, like a hobby that excites you. Connection is another essential ingredient for longevity. We humans are social creatures, and we thrive on meaningful relationships. Surround yourself with people who love and support you, people who lift you up and inspire you to be your best self. Nurture these relationships with kindness, compassion, and empathy, and never underestimate the power of a simple act of friendship. Finally, purpose is the driving force that gives our lives meaning and direction. When you have a sense of purpose, you are more likely to take care of yourself, stay active, and engage with the world around you. Your purpose can be anything, like volunteering your time, sharing your skills, or pursuing your passions. It doesn't matter how big or small your purpose is. What matters is that it gives you a reason to get out of bed each morning and make a positive impact on the world.